Good morning, and thank you for joining me. My name is Colleen Agner with the Able Trust. Before we begin, I'll have make a few notes to take care of. We have our, let me start this over. We're recording this webinar and we will make it available on our website shortly after we finish up. We will also be utilizing the Q&A feature to field any and all questions you may have. If for whatever reason we do not address your question during the session, we will reach out to you directly. Again, thanks everyone for being here for the Able Trust webinar. Again, thank you for being here for the Able Trust Collaborative webinar with HAAPE, Helping Adults with Autism to Perform and Excel. We're joined here today with Connie Alden, Managing Director for Helping Adults with Autism Perform and Excel. Connie is the Managing Director for the Central and North Florida region of HAAPE. She is committed to helping provide persons with autism with opportunities for meaningful, sustainable careers. Alden is an accomplished senior executive, business consultant, advisory board member with over 30 years of experience leading global human resources functions. She's a board member of HAAPE's Executive Operation Board, the Small Business Development Center at the University of Central Florida, and the Jessica Green Foundation. I'd now like to welcome Connie Alden. Good morning, Connie. We'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Colleen, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and thank the Able Trust leadership for inviting me, and particularly all of those of you on the call that have taken the time this morning to join and to share your responses to the survey in the registration form. I really appreciate that. That helped very much. Thank you. So as Colleen just mentioned, I'm with an organization, a nonprofit called Helping Adults with Autism Perform and Excel. We call ourselves HAAPE. And I'd like to take some time this morning, a little bit of time, talk about what HAAPE does, who we are, what we do, share something that we refer to as social return on investment. I'll talk about how we work, our kind of working model for HAAPE within Florida, and we're beginning to work actually outside of Florida as well. I want to talk a bit about some of the barriers to employment for the autistic community, fear and uncertainty, and some of the things that we try to do to alleviate some of those concerns. I'll spend a bit of time talking about the programs that we offer, our training offerings, so that you know what they are and where they are right now. And we are always kind of adding to those programs, so be interested in afterwards hearing some of your feedback on that. And then a bit about the Autism Coalition ecosystem that has been established to kind of support how we work within Florida. And then we'll take questions at the end. So again, the purpose of HAAPE, again, a nonprofit organization, all volunteer organization. Our purpose is to provide meaningful and sustainable employment for the autistic community. Our vision is to extend these programs to as many autistic individuals as we can. And to really help them to be able to showcase their abilities, their special abilities that they have to potential employers. Our mission, similarly, to offer these opportunities for training, education, employment, to have sustainable careers, not just a job, but a sustainable career that allows them to lead independent lifestyles. So why do we focus on employment? Because 1 in 44 births are ultimately diagnosed as individuals on the spectrum. And once these individuals become of a working age, 80 to 90% are unemployed or underemployed. And we know that these individuals can be highly productive and have really meaningful skills. So our programs focus on trying to help those individuals to find employment. We have something we call a social return on investment. It's just kind of a little bit of a different way of looking at autism and the autistic community. This particular slide shows Orange County, Florida, which is, as you know, Central Florida, the kind of the Orlando area. We run these numbers for other communities as well, other geographies and counties, but just chose to show you this example. So Orange County, according to latest statistics, has about 1.4 million people. So if we assume that 1 in 44 are autistic, that equates to over 35,000 people with an autism diagnosis. When we think about support costs for those individuals being approximately $60,000 a year, and that's kind of all inclusive for additional training, therapies, the benefits that they receive from state and local governments, as well as what parents pay towards their support costs. That's over $2 billion a year, again, within Orange County. If we assume we can train even 5% of those individuals and for them to become employed, that would equal 1,775 individuals that are now gainfully employed. They could produce over $62 million a year in income. That would ultimately reduce support costs. And if we, again, conservatively even assume that cuts it in half, that could reduce it by $53 million a year. The Department of Labor talks about for every new job created and filled, there's ultimately another 2 jobs created because of the increase in spending and the economy in the community. So that would add to the dollars that are then available within the county as well. So overall, when we look at this, if you add all of that up, it's $140 million a year benefit to Orange County. So just a little bit different way to look at autism and what it means in terms of social return on investment. So our working model within HAAPE is, again, we're a nonprofit. We're all volunteers, so 98% of the funds we raise goes back into programs. We actively do create programs by working with, we work with employers. For me and for HAAPE, it's very important that we know that if we provide a training program for an individual and they complete that program, that there will be a job available for them and that it will be a job that pays a living wage. So that is our goal, is to make sure that we work with employers ahead of time. We work with CareerSource within Florida to make sure that those jobs are available. Additionally, we work with schools, high schools. We work with nonprofits to create a candidate pool, because we want to understand where candidates are, and are there candidates in those areas where the jobs exist. And once we do kind of that research, and know what the demand is for the area, then we go out to the colleges and the vocational technical programs, schools that offer those, and help them to think about how they might create a program that's autism friendly, that will train people for these jobs. The funding for the program, because we're nonprofit, comes from individuals, fundraising, contributions from individuals, foundations, corporations, partnerships, and grants. And then the piece about sustainable employment, which is really important. We do have an advisory board that's made up of stakeholders such as the employers that we work with. There's individuals on our board from the employers. There's individuals on our board from administration, from colleges, and we have individuals on our board that are autistic, that understand what programs are needed and which ones are being more effective. So one of the things that we think about is what are the barriers to individuals finding employment? And we talk about this. We talk about as our kind of fear slide. It's fear and uncertainty are impediments to individuals finding employment, and that exists on the employer side as well as on the, as we refer, the individuals or the candidates and their parents. So just on the employer side, on the left side of the slide here, some of their concerns are about accommodations. Can I accommodate effectively what is needed to hire an individual who is on the autism spectrum? Are there legal concerns around doing that, around offering accommodations to some that they can't offer to others, perhaps, those kinds of things? They, of course, worry about cost and their interview process and selection process. How does it need to change? Does it look different now? And how are we going to do that? They worry about retaining employees, about what those career paths might look like for those individuals. And then very importantly, how can they be integrated with their neurotypical employment pool that they currently have? And then what types of support is needed? Now on the candidate and or student and parent concerns, I'm sure you all are very familiar with these. I'm sure you talk to people every day about these. They're concerned about long-term prospects for employment. What does it look like? What kinds of jobs are available? Very important is the concern around losing their Social Security and disability benefits. We hear that all the time. I'm sure you hear that all the time. What is a career path? Is it long-term? Is it short-term? What might it look like for a long-term career? What type of support is out there? Disclosure, really an important concern because people, as you know, are very often concerned about disclosing to a potential employer that they're on the spectrum and that they may need certain accommodations. So many people don't choose to do it for that reason. So we talk to them about that. Social interactions with others, and of course, cost. So just a bit more on the employer concerns on the left side of the slide and some of the things that we attempt to do to address them. We talk to employers about qualified candidates. So as an example, you saw some of the numbers of the potential size of the candidate pool as we talked on about the social return on investment. We also talk about qualifications. There's some really unique qualifications that many of these individuals have that employers really would appreciate and do appreciate once they begin hiring. Productivity improvements, retention, actually improving by hiring individuals that are more loyal than perhaps their neurotypical counterparts. We've seen statistics. We've talked to companies about safety behavior and safety records are actually improving by hiring from this particular community because of their focus on procedures and details and so forth that many others don't. Produces stronger safety behavior. Tax benefits, share that with them. The fact that employers and senior leaders primarily need to be very committed to doing this and creating a culture within their company that's very accepting. So we talk to them about the importance of that, and then management training. Just to share quickly a couple of some numbers around business benefits. I talked about retention rates. It's actually 89% higher retention rate for hiring individuals on the spectrum. 72% increase in productivity and 29% increase in profitability for companies that have implemented these programs. And then the individuals, the qualifications of the individuals. When they complete their education or their VOTEC program or their internship, they're qualified. They're well educated, ready to fill, we say, hard to hire jobs. I'll talk about in a minute about what those are when I talk about our programs. But that is what we focus on. Improved managerial communications and team building skills. What does that mean? Well, we make sure that training is in place for managers when they introduce these programs and team members on how to communicate and how it looks maybe a little bit different than what they do now. So in addition to accommodations, we tell them you need written procedures. You need to focus on clear expectations, and you need to focus on regular feedback as examples. Well, guess what? Neurotypical employees also want, written procedures, clear expectations, and regular feedback. It's just that a lot of times managers don't spend enough time on that. So once they learn to do that, it makes them a better manager overall. So that's another benefit for companies hiring from this population. Talk about out of the box thinking, some innovative ideas that may not have been in place in their environments in the past, and now they can hear them from individuals that have a different point of view. Increased employee engagement, obviously improved workforce diversity and their tax incentives. Not going to go through these, but these are their tax incentive programs that we share with employers. There are tax credits available. Now to talk about the candidates, the individuals and their parents and what their concerns are and how we address them. So at HAAPE, we've actually just developed a presentation, ESE presentation for the schools or for parent groups. And I'll pause and say, this has been approved now for Broward County Public Schools. If any of you on the call have an interest in this, I'll share at the end, I'll share my email address. I'd like to hear from you, and we'll figure out a way to introduce it or present it in your area. It's new, but I think it's important that we're trying to address some of these concerns in this way. So some of the things we talk about is how they might replace their disability check with a paycheck. We talk about the careers that are available, what some of the salary levels are, that it's higher income many times than they might think, and improved benefits from being hired by good companies. We also talk to them about communicating their accommodation needs. Again, a lot of people are concerned about that, even disclosing that they are on the spectrum, but important that they think about the accommodations that they could ask for that might help them to be successful in their jobs. And job coaches, which are very important to this, and we talk to them about the need for that, to work with a job coach, and ultimately becoming more independent, both financially and personally, and improving their self-esteem. So some of the slides that are part of that presentation, I thought you may want to see when we think about candidates and ultimately becoming employees. There's different ways to do that. So some of them may choose to participate in a certificate program. Some may choose to go to a college degree program. Others may choose kind of on-the-job training, which is also available through apprenticeships. Those considerations are very personal. They have to do with individual interests, what they want their career path to look like, of where they're located, do they have transportation, etc. We also talk with them about why employers want to hire them. What are some of the kind of unique abilities that you may have that you may not have even thought that you had, or even thought about that being important to employers. So, and these obviously, they're different for different individuals, but many we've seen as we work with individuals on manufacturing and technical employment are the attention to detail, really important. You think about quality assurance and so forth, very important. Memory and recall, ability to absorb facts, very focused, important to many types of jobs. The kind of whole innovation, thinking outside of the box, thinking of ideas and looking at things differently, rules and routine oriented and so forth. I won't go through this, but you're probably, you all may be familiar with this. We do talk about some of the programs like Ticket to Work that allows you to work part-time and still continue to collect Social Security disability. And as I mentioned before, we also talk about what salaries might look like, what benefits might look like that may mean you don't even need to be on Social Security or disability in the long term. So what I'd like to do now is take a few minutes and talk about some of HAAPE's training offerings. These are programs that most of them are in existence. A couple of them, I'll tell you, are being developed right now, and I'll talk to you about that as well. But if you look at the upper left side of the slide, the supply chain and logistics certification, this one is it's a national program. It's been in place for a while. Broward County, actually, Broward College did some of the work initially to make this offering and to ensure there was an autism-friendly component to it. It is an online program, so it is available even if you're not in Broward County. A student could choose to participate in this program online. There's 8 different certificate offerings within this program. You can see they're 25 to 30 hours each, roughly. Again, a well-established program, a well-known program when they come out with these certifications. We'll also mention to you that at HAAPE, we have just begun to work with FedEx, who is very interested in this and very interested in working with us in the autistic population. So a lot more from FedEx to come, but you'll all be familiar with them and that there are a lot of different locations and jobs available there. If you look over at the right side of the screen, the upper right, commercial drone pilot, there is a nonprofit that we work with that has developed a 6-hour introductory program that can be done online. A lot of excitement around this. People, particularly younger students, like the idea of being a drone pilot. So there is this introductory program available, and for those that are interested and have the capabilities, they can continue by following up with the FAA Part 107 Drone Pilot Certification Program, which is actually a license, and there are jobs available once they achieve that license. Right underneath that on the right side of the slide, avionics repair certification. If you're familiar with airplanes and so forth, kind of that industry, avionics are the kind of the controls that are within the cockpit of the aircraft. And there's maintenance and repair required on them, installation for new systems, et cetera. I will tell you, these jobs pay pretty well, and we've been successful at Broward College with this program. It's a 3-semester program, and with individuals coming out and finding jobs and finding good paying jobs. The whole kind of area of aircraft repair and maintenance is an area where I mentioned earlier about difficult to fill jobs. Those jobs have had a shortage of workers way before the pandemic, as the baby boomers retired and there were not other individuals to fill them. So anyone that's interested in kind of going that route, they can just be guaranteed there is a job, and a good paying job available for them. Underneath that, on the right side of the slide, document management and scanning. This is a company called Scan It Forward, and interestingly, the individual that runs it, he's been running this company for over 20 years now, and his name is Pierre Smith, and he goes by the name Paperless Pierre, which I think is very creative and branding on his part for his company. But it's about document management, and they offer this to companies to reduce their paper, to make their processing more efficient, and to track their workflows. So that's kind of what his business does. When he started hiring autistic individuals, and I believe he has between 80 and 90% now autistic employees, he has found tremendous improvements in his business, and I'll show you some of those numbers in just a second for his business. If you look over now at the bottom part of the slide on the left side, computerized numeric control mechanics or operators is what that stands for. These are typically CNC machines are in manufacturing companies. They are computer operated lathes, routers, milling machines, etc. Things that used to be very manual are now computer operated. There is a tremendous shortage in individuals that know how to do that. This again, I would say these jobs are very good paying jobs. There's a lot of openings for them in different areas where there are manufacturing companies. So this particular program has been in place through one of our partners that developed it on actually kind of in the California area and throughout some other states throughout the country. And he has trained, he's had over 100 graduates now from these programs. And all of them are employed. Many of them had more than one job offer coming out of the program. So very successful. And we're now introducing this within Florida. Just started introducing this in Florida, and there's a lot of interest here. What I would tell you about this program is it does have, it is offered through schools that have the equipment, that have the instructors already. We train the instructors through another partner. We train them to offer them in an autistic friendly manner. But it's the same program. It's the same certification when they complete it. Part of that program is also resume writing. It's also interviewing skills and things that are needed for that population as well. That component, which we call kind of a wraparound component for that program, interestingly, is now down in South Florida, Miami University of Miami is interested in offering that for cybersecurity. So kind of a similar autistic-friendly introduction, wraparound to an existing program, but for cybersecurity jobs. And I think that's very exciting, but that's just started, just underway right now, and getting started down there. And then finally, software and quality assurance on the left side of the slide there. Through an organization called Spectrum Tech, there are internships available that train people to do software Q&A and that type of work. And as you might imagine, that's very important right now, and there's a lot of need for that by many employers. I was just going to share really quickly some of the information on some of these programs I just talked about, some detail. Scan It Forward, the document scanning company, has, since they've started hiring from the autistic community, they have found a 35 to 60% productivity improvement, and their defects are down from 20 to 25% to less than 1%. That is huge for a company that's all about quality assurance. So big improvements by hiring from this population. They've also found have loyal, reliable employees that don't tend to leave. So a lot of higher retention there. One of the companies that's hired from the avionics program is Summit Aerospace. Again, they found that these are superior employees with little or no support needed once they are hired and trained. We've gotten some good press on the avionics program, so you can see that there down in Broward County, Broward College. And just quickly wanted to mention that JP Morgan Chase is a company that's done a lot of work with their autism hiring program and really found it to be very successful for them in terms of productivity and the types of roles that individuals have worked into. When they first started, it was about engineering, software engineering, code writing, those types of jobs. But over time, they found that that individuals want to work in jobs like their personal banking roles and their problem-solving specialists and so forth. So when you think about career path, I think JP Morgan Chase has been an excellent example of there is a career path for individuals that want to grow. And actually, they have a VP now that's on the autism spectrum. And then finally, just wanted to mention, this is kind of what we call our autistic employment ecosystem, shows some of the stakeholders, the groups that we work with, you know, the support services. Many of you all, it's probably on the call, involved in support services. We work with parents and caretakers, service providers, obviously always looking for a candidate pool, an appropriate candidate pool for jobs, work with employers all the time, the colleges to develop the programs, and high schools to also help with that ultimate pipeline of candidates. So with that, I'll put this slide up that has my email address. I'm going to take any questions you have in just a moment, but wanted to show you my email address here if you'd like to write it down. Would love to hear from you if you have interest, follow-up questions later on. If you have interest in any of our programs, please reach out to me. I would love that. So with that, let's see if we have any questions. And I don't think we do at this point. Colleen, is that?
So we have one question. Will you be sharing the PowerPoint with everyone?
Oh, okay. I misread that. I thought that was at the beginning. You mean to send it out. Can probably do that. I'll follow up and see how we might be able to do that later on. I would need obviously email addresses and so forth, but we will share information.
And we will be posting a link on our website, theabletrust.org. We'll post a link to this webinar because it has been recorded for anyone that wanted to go back and watch any section of it. And we can attach that slide deck with that link as well.
Mm-hmm. So I do see some other questions coming in. First one, how many people have you placed in jobs through these training programs? So that question is interesting because it's really important that we do that. I will say a lot of these have evolved quickly and we don't have the numbers we'd like to have. But I'll tell you as an example, that CNC program, well over 100 have been placed through those programs. I just don't have them on all of these different ones that have just been introduced within really the last year or two. But those are numbers we are collecting and we will begin sharing. Okay, another question. When working with people who are trying to leave disability and begin working, how does your organization assess whether a job will be sustainable for that person long term, or if it's a position likely to lead to autism burnout? Yeah, great question. One of the things we always try to do through our programs, not only to assess the individuals and make sure that they, you know, can see what those jobs look like. I think it's really important to the extent we can to arrange for tours with some of the employers ahead of time so they can really see the work environment. They can see what types of accommodations they may need to ask for. So as we begin working with new employers, we talk to them about that to make sure that we have that available to them. It's never, you know, a guarantee, but I think the more information they see, they can ask about, the more they see people doing those jobs in the actual environment, the better. Okay, do you work with employers who are less on the technical side? Example, any animal or pet shelter organizations? Yeah, that's interesting. I was reading through some of the survey responses that a lot of students have an interest in that. We're not right now. It doesn't mean that we won't. One of the things that HAAPE has really focused on the technical and manufacturing side, because we know the availability of the jobs and the salary levels of the jobs and so forth. It doesn't mean that we won't look at others. And I think it's just not an area we've looked at in the past. I think we need to start doing that if there's an interest there, and job availability. How can we get demographic information for our area that you mentioned for Orange County? How can we get the demographic information? I assume you mean that one slide, is that right? The SROI, is that?
I believe so, Ms. Connie.
I can certainly share that. I can certainly share that slide with you. Absolutely. Do you work with partners in other capacities such as transportation, housing, et cetera, to ensure success for autistic people? We don't. HAAPE is not really focused on that. I will say this though, because it's obviously very important. We do try to work with nonprofits, other nonprofits that offer those types of services. to ensure that those programs are successful. Any other questions at this point?
I don't believe so, Ms. Connie, but I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Please reach out to Ms. Connie at happy.org or her email, and then also reach out to us here at the Able Trust at abletrust.org if you have any other questions or want any references to this. And we will be posting this shortly on our website.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Connie. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody joining us today. Mm-hmm.